Is it just like a feel good thing? Is it just like, where you have a positive mindset so you can pretend to be a good person? No, it's not that at all. It goes much deeper than that. So, what we were talking about yesterday, good morning, guys. Good morning. Good morning, Sarah. So, what we were talking about yesterday, right? We were talking about something very important. And what we were discussing is how this actually materializes with things in your life. Okay, so my clients, one of the first things, because I work with executives, so one of the first things that they do, right, is they kind of look at me when I say, you have to surrender the ego on the left in the left brain, and they're like, what do you mean? Because they have been taught logic, like their entire careers they have been taught logic, so they focus on logic, right? They live in logic. Okay, now, not to say that they need to be illogical, that's not the thing, right? But because they're so rooted in the logic, in the education, okay, like in college and stuff for the degrees and that kind of thing. So because that's their world and that's where they live, they think that's all there is. Okay. And eventually what happens is, because of the separation of spirit and body, okay, because of that separation, because of the separation of the spiritual and physical, what happens is they just focus on the physical. Okay. So I'm here to tell you that God, or your higher self, or source, or universe, however you want to label that, is real. It is very real. Now, if you say that this energy exists, okay, because it's an energy, if you can say that that energy exists, and if you want to call it light energy, if you want to call it positive energy, if you want to say that it's the energy that assists you or is a co creator with you. Good morning. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, Jay. Then what you have to understand is that you always have to cling to that parameter, or that understanding, or that mindset. Okay, this is a mindset. So if you don't, what happens is you go back and forth. You cannot go back and forth between, oh, this is random, and this was God, and this is random, and then this is God, because now that makes you a judge. And you're not the judge. You're not a judge. You have judgment. You can be judgmental, but you cannot distinguish between the two. You cannot make a distinguishing center point and form a center point between two things. In other words, there was an old expression that said you can't work two sides of the street. Right? You got to choose sides. You're going to be on this side, or you're going to be on this side. So you're going to say, okay, this is higher power, this is God, and God is real, and I'm going to trust in this. Or you have to say, well, this is logic, and this is the world thingy, and this is what I see with my eyes, and so this is what I'm going to believe. The truth of the matter is, if you are believing in systems, if you are believing in something man made, you are believing in someone else's idea. You are believing in a controlled system. Controlled is the key word. Controlled. Why is it controlled? Because other people control it. They control the system. Every system has rules and regulations and safeguards. Okay, when you walk into a Las Vegas casino, the odds are stacked against you. Why? Because it's a business. It's their system. They have a system. The system is engineered in a certain way. So why is this important to understand? Why is this important to know? Because any system is like that. Any system is like that, and every system is like that. In the Bible, where Jesus says, I will be with you until the end of the world. When you translate that out, in the original text, it says, I will be with you until the end of these systems of things. What systems? What systems was Jesus talking about? He was talking about political systems. He was talking about government systems. He was talking about religious systems. When do these systems end? They don't end. The systems just get modified. The systems just get better. And pretty soon the system is going to be perfected, and it's going to be worldwide. And there's going to eventually be one system. That's also in the Bible. But Jesus will be with you until the end of these systems of things. That's another way of saying that you always have God in you. God is always here with you. Okay? But you have eyes that look away from the kingdom. The kingdom is within. Everybody gets caught up in the how. How do I do this? How do I do that? How do I do this? How do I move forward with this? I need to figure out how we're going to move forward. I have this business client that I'm very proud of. I'm so proud of this guy. He was a nuclear submarine guy, and now I'm working with him. And I can't really go into details because he's an existing client, but I can tell you that when I first met him, the idea of allowing a power higher than yourself to open doors for you was very foreign to him. Okay? Because it's not what they teach you in college. It's not what they teach you in the armed services. It's not what they teach you, period. It's not even what they teach you in high school. What did he learn? Well, we started taking steps. And this is what I do with my business clients. And we do a once a week walk meeting. We do that for fun. And it's good because we get out and we walk. I walk, so I benefit, he benefits, and we talk. And along these meetings, right, and this is like, I'm coming from the spiritual perspective. He's coming from the logic. Okay, so I'm coming from right brain. He's coming from left brain. And I'm telling him, no, you need to surrender the ego in the left brain. So what happens over a period of months? Well, he's been with me for a year now, okay? In 1 year, this little tiny opportunity now mushroomed out bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And he's about to step into his own department that was created around him. And all I was trying to show him was, if you form the center point, your timeline corresponds to you. But you have to make the decision and stick to it. That has to be your new formed paradigm. And your timeline corresponds like this. It wraps around you like this. There's not a timeline like this. This is only you just see this in books. Timeline this way. There's no linear timeline. Time is an illusion. Einstein told us that. But when you take the steps towards stuff, right? Doors begin to open. You notice that? And you notice when you stop taking steps, the doors just kind of close like this, right? Because everything is energy. As you take the steps, doors open. The right people come into play. And this works off the beliefs in your subconscious. And God, okay, or the superconscious, because there's 3 states of awareness in you: conscious, subconscious, superconscious. Okay, God, or the superconscious, works off of whatever's in your subconscious. So let's say you don't believe in yourself. Let's say you believe that you don't believe in yourself, okay? Let's say that you think you're a loser, and let's say that that's in your subconscious. God doesn't judge. God does not judge. God will amplify loser. And then what? Well, then you'll meet more losers, okay? Like attracts like. Then what happens? Well, there will be more instances of you failing than succeeding. Why? Because that's what you believe in your subconscious. Now, you don't really realize it's in your subconscious. Why? Because it's underneath, subconscious. It's below the tip of the iceberg, in other words. Okay, you only see the tip of the iceberg sticking out of the water, and that's your conscious mind. Okay, because it's only 5% of what's underneath. 95% is what you operate on habitually, out of habit. We can say it another way. Dr. Joe Dispenza says your body does it better than you. And what that means is everything is muscle memory. Everything is the body or the subconscious doing it better than you. Your conscious mind, because that's 5%. That's what that means. So then, if only 5% of your life is conscious and everything else is in repetition, you don't need to worry about too much, do you? So when you program your new beliefs into your subconscious, what happens? Is it difficult? No, not at all. Not at all. 66 days and you can implant new beliefs in your subconscious. So what we do with our clients is we do one. We do one first. And then it's wash, rinse, repeat. Choose your second belief. Same process. Third, same process. When you identify the subconscious beliefs, and you only know it when something triggers it and you go, oh yeah, that's how I feel about that, right? Because you feel about so many things. You are a very complex individual. You may not see it that way. Most people don't. Why? Because they're distracted to things out here in the physical world. There's a separation between the body and the spirit. You're not your body, you're not your name. You're that spirit that lives in here, that energy that lives in here. Spirit, soul, energy, whatever you want to call that. It's up to you. I'm not here to tell you what to believe. Can you please repeat that again? What? Repeat what? Sorry, I just went through a whole mess of things. Put it down in. Do you believe in multiverse? Yeah, there is a multiverse. You have other self in other universes. Yes, it's very possible. Quantum physics is discovering that. They're proving slowly that exists. I think they're up to the 10th dimension so far. That your dreams are connected with them. Yes, your dreams are connected with them. Yeah, your dream. I mean, so you have to be with the understanding that everything is everything. So yeah, your dreams are not hallucinations. Your dreams are significant. Nothing is insignificant. Nothing in the universe is unintelligent. Nothing. Even the blades of grass are intelligent. So yeah, you can actually go onto YouTube for the live. Jay, you can put down the YouTube address for them. So if you'd like to, let's say you're listening to a live. Let's say you're busy. Let's say you're doing things, right? We're all doing things. Okay, so you can go back and listen to the lives on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel. I don't know if I'm supposed to mention that because the algorithm might, prevent us from the feed or something. I don't know. But anyway, if you'll give it a chance to change one historical event, what would that be? It's not up for me to change history. So maybe it would have been nice for me to been somewhere else in history, but I don't think about that. That's a fantasy thing. That doesn't have any basis in reality, in current reality. So now, with your subconscious and your beliefs in your subconscious, this is what God has to work with. So when it says in the Bible that God knows your heart, okay, what it's talking about is God knows your beliefs. Okay, as a man thinketh, so is he, right? And they always say in his heart. what they're talking about is intention. So if your intentions are good and you do something, but you get a bad result because you didn't count on certain dynamics concerning the actions that you put forth, but you came from good intentions, okay, you will be forgiven. What does forgiveness mean in that sense? That means you can make mistakes, okay? And in order to release yourself from the mistake, or let's say from the karma of the mistake, or let's say this another way, from the repercussions of your subconscious regarding the mistake. I'll let you think about that for a second. Yes, your subconscious, because your subconscious is your book of life. Everything you do is recorded in your subconscious. Everything you say, everything you think. So the way you're thinking right now is being recorded in your subconscious because you are aware, because we are awareness as humans. When it says in the Bible that we are all one, we are all one awareness. We are all of one energy. So we are the microcosm, the smaller version, of the larger version of energy. We are extensions of the Creator. Extensions, energetic extensions of the Creator. What does this mean? This means you have the power of the Creator in you. Okay? There's a pastor that used to be a pastor in the 70s, and his name is Reverend Ike. Look him up online. He talks about the God in you. You are a co-creator with God, which means you have the power to create. Okay? So everything out there, right, besides nature, okay, with the exception of nature, was created by someone else's in here. And it's all been placed before us. And it has evolved over time. And it is still evolving. And we are on the precipice of a very interesting time in history. Because future generations will be born into abundance. 3D printers, AI, all of this. Now, you have two ways to look at this, right? Glass half full, glass half empty. Which side are you going to belong to? I'll tell you a very interesting story. I used to work in radio, and I worked in radio for a long time. And at one point in the 90s, in the mid-90s, computers started being installed. And it was really funny because there was two of us at this the first radio station that was computerized, and I was working there. I was a production director, and it was just me and this other guy who learned. And funny, but we saw that the older people that were older than us had a hard time wrapping their minds around computers, and it wasn't because they couldn't understand. It was because they did not want to embrace the future. It's because they wanted to fight progress. Okay. And there was two sides to it. One side was, well, we're not going to need you anymore, so you're dispensable, disposable. Okay, in business, everyone's disposable. But then on the other side of the coin, right, things got easier. So the people who had a really tough time with this eventually faded from the future because they weren't interested in learning. And those same people I see today, and they have a tough time with wrapping their minds around stuff. And they're very negative about the future, about digital, about the digital world. Okay. But if you keep up, okay, if you continue to learn, okay, learning is priceless. What happens is you start to begin to fire new neurons, okay? And what fires together wires together. So when we start talking about neuroplasticity, what we're talking about is the plasticity of the brain, the adaptability of the brain to form new neural pathways. And when this happens, guess what? Your mind gets renewed. Your brain gets renewed. Your brain evolves. A lot of people are under the fear based perception that as they get older, they get worse. No, 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 no. As you get older, you get better mentally if you exercise it. Okay? Physically, yeah, you're going to get old physically. Yes, these things will get old. One day I won't be able to play my guitar. One day I won't be able to write as well. One day these will slow down because they'll get old. But in here, you never age. The spirit doesn't age, only the body ages. I have a 90-year-old mother, and she acts like she's 25. Go, 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 go. And she probably is more active than any 90-year-old I've ever seen. But it's your mindset that counts, and that's why we teach mindset. That's why I teach my clients mindset. I have a CEO that I teach. He's outstanding. He's an outstanding young man. Outstanding CEO. I've been working with him for about a year, little over a year, and he is taking his company to new heights. Because all you have to do is teach the CEO. The CEO will, everything trickles down, right? Everything trickles down from the top. The CEO will affect the company. Therefore, I have an effect on companies in that manner as a resource. But again, with the left hemisphere of the brain, okay, logic versus the right hemisphere of the brain, creativity, imagination, divine guidance, I have to show these college educated people, right? I dropped out of college, but yeah, you know, college was college. There's an old expression, college is knowledge, and it is knowledge, but it's more training now than knowledge. Nobody goes to college to get smart. They go to college to get training in a particular field, and then they work in the field. But if that's all you have is logic, if that's all you do is live out of the left hemisphere of the brain, then you need to really understand what Jesus Christ said when he said, cast your net to the right. Because it's talking about the right hemisphere of the brain. That's where your divine guidance comes from, your intuition. If you pay closer attention to your intuition, you will make less mistakes in life. There's believing and there's knowing. And your intuition is directly associated with knowing or knowledge. But you have to surrender the ego. You know, when I was young, I didn't know what that meant, right? Surrender the ego. What? Don't you need a healthy ego? Yeah, you need a healthy ego. A healthy ego is an ego you can subdue. It's not an ego that gets carried away with itself, because the ego always thinks it knows. If you can control the ego. See, I was working in entertainment for a long time. It was a hub of narcissism. It was full of narcissists. At one point, I had that question to myself, like, am I becoming a narcissist? But I was doing a lot of self-promotion because I had to. In the beginning, I had to do my own. And when you start getting into self-promotion, pretty soon you kind of feel a little bit more narcissistic than you are, because everyone has narcissism in them. You know what's really creating a lot of narcissists now? This thing right here. Okay? Narcissism, isolation, okay? The wrong type of self-empowerment. So, we also have an increased amount of stimulus in our world, okay? Stimulus, constant go, 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 do, productive, right? Or not, or entertainment, dopamine hits, okay, with no timeouts. This does not serve human vibration well. Why? Because we need a break, okay? You need breaks. So if you're an executive type, if you're a leader of people, if you're in a position like that, 3 breaks a day, 3 15 minutes a day, mandatory, okay? I had a schedule. When I was building my companies, I had a schedule. And I scheduled in these breaks. I had 4 15-minute breaks strategically placed throughout the clock. So we had what we call the clock. And you would split the clock like a pie, and you would have quarters. You would have quarters in the pie. And you would have a 15-minute break every quarter. And this is how productivity happens. It happens in balance. The people that go hard, those people that go hard, they make a bunch of money, then they get carried away, and then guess what happens? Their ego takes over. When their ego takes over, what happens? They lose it all. We see them come, we see them go, right? You see them rise, you see them fall. Why do they fall? It's the ego. The ego does that. The left brain, the one that, think they're coming from logic. They're coming from imbalance because they're not coming from the right side. They don't have the right side balance. Jesus sits at the right hand of the Father, not the left. I see so many entrepreneurs go, 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 gone. Go, 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 gone. Like that. And it's not always something that's their fault. Sometimes it just creates the right circumstances for an accident, for a mishap, for a misstep. Sometimes you miss the steps, okay? There's steps to take in business. There's steps to take in relationships. There's steps to take in productivity. There's steps to take in personal development. If you skip steps, it could be detrimental to your career. It could be detrimental to your relationship. It could be detrimental to your life. Sell me this pen. There you go. Sorry, I'm not selling pens, but yeah, I've heard the phrase. Leonardo DiCaprio, that's who it was. There you go. Thank you. So, why is it important to balance? Because if you don't have the right brain balance and you're only focused on the left, you're going to be isolated into the ego. You're going to fall into the ego trap. The ego thinks it knows best. Surrendering the ego means casting your net to the right side. What does that mean? Well, casting your net to the right side implies consciousness. 153 fish. That's how many fish were caught on the right side. 1 + 5 + 3 is 9, the number of consciousness. So what is it really talking about? It's talking about surrendering to consciousness. Consciousness is the collective awareness. Okay? In the Bible, it says we are all one. We are a collective awareness. Every human being is aware. Every human being possesses awareness. Awareness makes us one. We are extensions of the Creator. Okay, like an octopus. The tentacles of an octopus, right? But there's the head. We're the tentacles. God is the head, or universe, or source, or Jesus Christ, or however you categorize your higher self. But you do have a higher self. When you surrender to the right, when you surrender to consciousness, when you observe consciousness, what happens? You receive divine guidance. But you have to be open to divine guidance to receive it. How do you do that? Affirmations, meditation, vocalization, visualization. Meditation will allow you to discover and experience the expansiveness of the universe. The kingdom that Jesus Christ talked about, the kingdom within. When you go within the kingdom, when you sit within the kingdom, you receive the answers. All you have to do is ask. Ask, believe, receive. So is it like a magic lamp? No, it's not, it doesn't work like that. Those are in the movies, those are fantasies. But it works through your subconscious. Is your subconscious magic? It's magical because it's magical to be a human being. You know, so when we have these coincidences that we cannot explain, okay? People that believe in God, right? I know tons of people believe in God. Some of them are wealthy. Some of them understand. Some of them are poor. Some of them are struggling. Some of them are wearing that struggle as a badge of honor because in their minds, they're picking up this cross and carrying it. Jesus picked up the cross so you don't have to. But if you fall under the fear-based understanding, okay, you know, God is going to judge you. God is, you know, God will punish you. You know, I heard that a lot when I was a kid. God is going to punish you. And I was like, I'm still waiting for that. Didn't happen. Why? Because God is not the punisher. God is love. Okay, punishes the other side, the other energy, the opposing energy. The opposing energy. Which is specifically why you need the right side. Specifically. When you cast your net to the right side, the right, the light, okay, the kingdom, that's where you get your guidance from. Ask, believe, receive. Praying is asking. Intentions are asking. Wishing is asking. What do you wish for? Be careful what you wish for. I'm here to tell you that I've gotten everything I wished for. I didn't get it the way I wanted it. Thank God. Thank God I didn't get it the way I wanted. But when you receive, and you receive in the way that God intended, it kind of fits everything you're doing. And it's always for your best interest. Always. Even if you don't see it. Okay? You may not see it at first. But it's always in your best interest. Always. What is the difference between a goal and a mission? Yes, William, you asked me yesterday. I'll give you the same answer because it never changes. Okay? So a goal is something you set, a mission is something that comes from within. Okay, your life path is a mission. Yes, he did. Thank you, Jay. Okay. So everyone comes to the planet with a life path. Okay. Your life path unfolds for you like this. Life unfolds like this. Life doesn't happen like this. If you think life happens like this, you're suffering from a couple of things. First, victim mentality. Second, limited thinking. Just like if you think money is the only way you could do something, you're suffering from limited thinking. I built a $4 million ad machine on 7 radio stations over the course of 15 years. It helped to build businesses, other people's businesses. How did we do that? We didn't do it with money. That's going to be in my book. The book is called The Kingdom Within, and we're working on that. That should be available by the end of February. Thank you, thank you. Thank you, Morelia. Thank you. Hey, Manuel, my buddy Manuel from Belgium. A goal has an unequivocal ending point. Yeah, it's a goal, but a goal is something you set. A goal is something you set. A mission is your life path. Only 7 radio stations. Well, actually, we did it on the iHeart with iHeartMedia. Yeah, so a goal is something you set, and a mission is something you are, your life path. So, your thoughts are internal. The kingdom is internal. Your subconscious is internal. God is internal. All of these things are internal. Your God energy is eternal. Okay. There is no end. There is no end to energy. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you. Yes, they have over 1,100 stations and 7 here in Honolulu. You're correct. It's the largest radio network in the world. They used to be Clear Channel, and I started building that advertising machine when it was Clear Channel, and then they sold to iHeart, and iHeart acquired it, and now they're taking it even to greater heights. In fact, you can find my radio station on the iHeart radio app. I have a radio station on there, a digital station. Just put my name in there, and you'll see it. You can actually get all my albums on that same platform. They sell it on the same platform. You can listen to it or you can buy it. And I have 9 albums and a single on iHeartMedia. Just put my name in there, you'll see it. So everything is in here. Nothing is out there, or up there, up there. Everything comes from within everyone. So everything you use, this pen, everything we have came from someone else's in here. And where did that evolve from? It evolved over time. This is why we talked about negativity bias. This is why negativity bias is so prevalent in humans, because we have to evolve. It's a natural inclination to expand, to grow, to evolve, to become. So whatever's in your subconscious is very important. So when you hear things like, as a man thinketh, so is he, that's because thoughts become things. That's because the conscious mind thinks a thought. In repetition, it goes into the subconscious. The subconscious creates a belief. Then it creates repetition out of that belief. So your core beliefs are the roots of the tree. Your paradigm is formed by those beliefs. So your worldview, your attitude is formed by your core beliefs. Your paradigm affects your behavior, your decisions. Those are the fruits of the tree, your actions. Actions get you results. If you want better results, can you just make random actions? Sure. You can get temporary results. For lasting results, for consistent results, like income streams, those kinds of results. A successful business, right? Because it's wash, rinse, repeat. And once you have a process, you duplicate that process and it keeps working. And most processes need to be maintained and upgraded periodically, modified, and then they continue working once you get the right formula, once you put the right steps into play. And this is why you don't skip steps. And when you do this accordingly, what happens is a systematic formula of success. And this is why you see entrepreneurs, right? They do it one time. And then they do it with something else. Then they do it with something else. Then they do it with something else. Because the system is what's important. The foundation is what's important. The incorporation of both the left and right hemisphere strengths are important, not just one side. So everything that you desire from the inside eventually comes out. Okay? So the universal law of correspondence says whatever's happening in here begins to happen out here. So your immediate area is a reflection of what's going on in here. Now, where the body goes, the mind follows. And where the mind goes, the body follows. What does this mean? Well, when you make improvements with the body, people that go to the gym, right? It affects the mind. When I do my confidence training for executives, if I'm not making the adequate progress doing mind-body, then I adjust their body language. And when I teach them body language and adjust their body language, guess what happens? Their confidence levels just go through the roof. Why is that? Because one has to affect the other. I had little kids, right, that we would work with them with their voices, and they would start puffing out their chest and they would start singing like they wanted to fight. And I was like, whoa, what's doing this? And when we did the research, we go, oh, these are hormones that are being fired in the brain. Neurotransmitters that are excreting oxytocin and endorphins. So it's calming everything within in the kingdom. And what's happening? Well, when you get rid of anxiety, when you get rid of fear, overthinking, when you get rid of stress, when you get rid of these things, that's when the natural person comes out. Okay? I always say human beings are like presents. You never know what's in there until you unwrap them. And the unwrapping process is affirmations, meditation, vocalization, visualization. It's because of the distraction. Okay, our eyes pull us into distractions. That becomes our reality. Because now we have this simulated distractions within. Life is a mirror. It's a mirror. But when you become distracted in something, it becomes your reality, even temporarily. When you get distracted, it takes some of your time, so you have to pay attention. Because it takes your time, it takes of your time, it takes away your life. How do you prevent that? Just say no. Just say stop. And focus on something productive, or focus on something you love. Focus on the people you love and the things you love. Never mind anything else. If you don't love it, don't give it any attention. If it doesn't make you happy, if it doesn't make you smile, if it doesn't make you enjoy yourself, you're wasting your life. Because you're being distracted into something negative. And because human beings have that natural default to negativity bias for survival purposes, it's biology, you're automatically attracted to negative things. That's why they don't put good news on TV news. We don't want to sit there and see all the good things that happen. We want to see the worst things that happen, right? We want to see the very worst things because it's attractive. It draws us in. Everybody goes, whoa, look at that. Wow, I can't believe that happened. Okay. But in here, it's a chemical rush. And then what do? We think about it. This is how mass media works. This is how movies work. If you show a movie to 1 million people, it starts to manifest in the world. And pretty soon you go, hey, look, that happened. It was just like the movie. Remember that movie? And then this just happened. It was like that movie we saw, right? Yeah, it was. Because it manifested because you had 1 million human beings look at it. 1 million human beings think about it. That's a lot of power. Okay? 1 million kingdoms observe that. And now it begins to act out in the physical world. Because thoughts become things. Collective thoughts become collective things. Oh, William, Merry Christmas. Thank you. Okay. Bye, William. Everybody say goodbye to, wave goodbye to William. Bye, William. So anyway, okay. Collectively, when things are shown to us, in media, in movies, in advertising, things begin to propagate in the physical from the spiritual. Because every human being is a spiritual being. If you're too grounded in the left brain thinking, if you're too grounded in logical thinking, then you go, well, that cannot be. It's not logic. Then you will stay in the left brain thinking. And in that case, there is no God. God is at the right hand. God is the right hemisphere of the brain. Jesus sits at the right hand of the Father. You cast your net to the right, not the left. The journey of Moses is the migration from the left brain to the right. The right brain, or the right hemisphere, is the promised land. The division is in the center. This is esoteric knowledge. Your pastor won't tell you this in church. Maybe he doesn't know, maybe he knows and he won't tell you, but he won't tell you. But the power is in here. It's in you. It's in there. You're very, very powerful. You're much more powerful than people would want you to realize that you are. This is why when you put your mind to something, things begin to happen. When you put your mind to something, you start to meet the right people. When you put your mind to something, doors begin to open because God is working off of your subconscious. And all you need to do is change those beliefs and adjust those beliefs for God to go, okay, well, we'll help you with that. Oh, you believe that now? Okay, I'll help you with this now. Because God doesn't judge, we do. Our actions create results. Our paradigm dictates our actions. Our beliefs dictate our paradigm. So when they say you will know them by their fruits, what they mean is you will know them by their actions. Actions speak louder than words. Why is that? Well, because they show you the results. Action brings result. Now, there's two types of action. There's physical action, there's mental action. Can you just think something into being? Oh, yeah, sure. And you can speak it into being, too. You can speak things into being. You can curse things. How do you do that? Well, just keep speaking bad about something. But the curse is in here. The curse is in your subconscious. The curse is in low self-esteem. The curse is in low self-pride. The curse is in putting yourself down. Why? Well, because you observe yourself. And you judge yourself. You are your own worst critic. See? So if you don't forgive yourself, or let's say it another way, if you don't incorporate an attitude of forgiveness, forgiveness is divine. If you don't incorporate an attitude of forgiveness, so somebody does something, okay, forgive that. Somebody made a mistake, okay, forgive that. Waitress got your order wrong, okay, forgive that. Standing in line, you got shorted a couple of cents, okay, forgive that. Driving, somebody cuts in front of you, okay, forgive that. When you make a habit out of forgiveness, guess what? You get forgiven. Why? Because it's in your subconscious. This is not magic. This is not voodoo. This is not rocket science. This is common sense. Well, maybe now it's uncommon sense. Why is it uncommon? Well, because we have these things here. Okay, this is a distraction. There's so many distractions. If you have a television, huge distraction. I just bought one and I haven't really watched it too. I think I watched it twice. I haven't had a television over 25 years. Because I had to focus. I had to focus. I had companies to build. I had to focus on them. When you apply focus to something, it intensifies no matter what it is. When you have a conflict in energy, an energetic conflict, okay, thoughts are energy. Do you have two opposing thoughts? For one thing. In other words, maybe you want to make more money. But then you think money doesn't grow on trees. Maybe you think money is hard to earn, but you want more money. That's a conflicting thought. They're going to cancel each other out, or we can say it another way, it's counter-manifesting. So manifestation is just subconscious, it's not mystical. Nice, learning to forgive positively. Yeah, forgiveness is all positive. You cannot have negative forgiveness. It doesn't work the other way. Forgiving someone is not being a doormat. Okay? Forgiving people is not, it's not a weakness, it's a strength. It takes a lot to forgive. It takes a lot to forgive. But when you forgive, you let yourself off the hook. Okay? When you forgive someone for something they did to you, you take yourself off the hook. What do I mean by that? It it relieves you of resentment. Resentment is like a small underlying current of anger. And that resentment is because that happened, or that happened, or that happened. Okay? And then what? Well, underneath it all, it's doing damage to you. So you need to forgive. Okay? If you get in the habit of forgiving people, guess what? You will be forgiven. This is why it says, judge not, and ye shall not be judged. Because you judge yourself. Okay? It's not talking about God won't judge you. God automatically doesn't judge you in the first place. It's you. You judge you. Okay? We all judge ourselves. We're all critical of ourselves. We all have negativity bias, so we look for the bad things that we do first. Okay? It sticks out, and we hold it against ourselves. Okay? So forgive. Forgiveness is divine. You are divine. Your energy in here. Okay? There's a separation between the spiritual and physical. You have a body. You've been given a body. But you, yourself, are in here. Okay? So forgive, and then maybe you can forget, or at least put it in the back filing cabinet. We will see you all tomorrow at 7. Thank you, Jay. Thank you, thank you. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you for being here. We will see you, and we want to say on our other networks, we're on 7 networks every morning. We've been doing this since April. We're here every day. So we will see you tomorrow morning, and